Hi, welcome to another episode of The Secret Life of Therapists. I'm your host, Dr. Habiba, and I have Dr. Andrea here with me. She is a chiropractor, somebody I've known for years at this point, fabulous human being. And welcome.
Thank you.
So, today we were going to talk about Andrea's life and how it impacts not only the care that she gives to everyone else, which is why I love her so much. She's human, she's down to earth, she's fantastic at her craft, but more so the elements of what it's been like to be the woman that is it all and does it all. Meaning, girl, single mom, right? Taking care of the family, living in an extended home. She does it all. She is the man of the house. She's the woman of the house. She's the child of the house. She is the matriarch of the house. You name it. She is all of the above. So I'm definitely honored to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, a lot of people don't understand what it's like to have that kind of pressure. In my past podcasts, I've talked about how I'm the son my dad never had. So I'm expected to be all the masculine, right? All of the masculine energy. And then make sure that I'm also feminine enough, right? To carry all the feminine energy, which I don't know if I've ever mastered the feminine energy, regardless of what my hormone count says. But whatever. People don't understand what that's like.
No, I think there's always a term that my boyfriend uses, and he goes, "Oh, you're the manager of the house."
Mm-hmm.
They're calling the manager of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and I think at some point, like you growing up, get so used to being the one that everybody relies on for doing things, whether it's translating,
Yes.
applying for something as simple as my dad wanted to get some new glasses. He wanted me to go with him. He wanted me to go and make the appointment.
Yeah.
And he's 62,
Yeah.
but he's always in this, just the whole family is always being relying on me doing every step of the way for anything that we need,
Yeah.
like research this, how much will the tires cost,
Yeah.
where should I buy and which one should I buy. So I think it's hard for a lot of people to grasp that if they have never been in that situation. And then also, like I said, you're required in a way
Yeah.
to be okay, not only the one that they lean on, but also, like I said, act as a girl, be feminine. Like how are you going to be prepared to be the best wife that you can be, and then kind of tone down your masculine and independent energy. It's it's a hard act to balance, to be honest.
Well, because it's conflicting messages,
It is.
right? Like show up and be the man, right? Whatever, in that way. But then also, if you show up a little too hard as that masculine energy, then getting kind of smacked in the face for it,
Like
right?
you
To be
do.
like, don't be so aggressive. Don't be so this. Don't be so that. You need to, I don't know. One of the things my parents used to say, and it carried with me, was you represent the home. You represent the family. So I didn't have an identity of my own, which is pretty much why I was the black sheep of the family, right? Because the pressure gets to you because it feels like it's never enough. That is not what they intended. That's not what
Hmm.
they meant. It's just that's my society, and that's how it's supposed to be. You represent the family, so you know,
Yeah.
remember who you belong to.
Right, being your own individual. I think that's the hard part, because like in my case, there are a lot of things that were expected of me,
Mm-hmm.
right? That there was an expectation
Like what?
of how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to behave, the way that you should talk. I couldn't be too aggressive in my, talking. I have
Yes.
to be sweet, tone it down. um because anything else that was too aggressive to their idea of what aggressiveness is, it's too much.
So
What are
what
people
was
going
it
to think?
though? Ugh, don't even get me started about what people will think. Oh, that is like the main thing I focus on with all of my clients is how to sometimes beat it out of them psychologically, right? Like
Right.
we can't keep basing our life based on what other people will think. That it's universal,
Yeah.
that message. However, you know, I was always, shocking. I'm sure shocking. Dressed in the frilliest, frou-frouest, most girliest girly outfits ever, right? I
Hmm.
would have bows in my hair and this and that and everything else. At the same time, when I hit puberty, it immediately shifted.
Oh wow.
Then I was put in boys' jeans,
I wouldn't have guessed
boys'
that.
shirts. Yes, I was a hot mess. Now, in my dress and
Hmm.
everything else, I was a tomboy. So I'm over here playing sports outside. I'm out, and our curfew was sundown. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter. So if the sun goes down at 4, your ass better be home by 4.
Before.
So, and then get out of the house. It was every day. It was like, get out of the house whenever my parents came home. So I'm over here rollerblading and swimming and climbing up trees and all this ridiculous stuff. I actually thought I was dying, and I locked myself in the bathroom when I was 9, 10 years old because I fell off a tree that I climbed chasing after a boy because he was acting stupid because he took our ball and then jumped the fence. So and as short as I am, there was no jumping the fence. So I climbed the tree, fell off the tree because I broke the branch trying to jump
Oh.
from the branch. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. My kids are so good when I think about my stories. They're so good. I'm so grateful for them because what the hell? So I tried to catapult myself from the branch to the fence that I was going to jump
Oh
off and
no.
into another apartment complex to chase after this boy. What the actual hell? But whatever. But it broke and I landed right on the ground, just kersplat. And then when I went home, I was bleeding. Girl, I started my period. But no one had the conversation with me
Oh,
about
but
what a
what
period
period
was.
was?
So
Oh
I thought I was
Lord.
dying.
You're like, if I'm internally
Ah,
bleeding, this
I
is
was
it.
I locked myself in the bathroom and my dad was like, when he got home, I wouldn't come out for hours. Right. And then when he got home, my mom, I guess, told him what happened. He was like, I will break down this door if you do not open it and tell me what happened. So I got that kind of masculine, that's what it means
Hmm.
to be that masculine energy. Don't ask for help. Make sure you get everything done. You are
Like, figure it out.
figure it out, right? Because the consequence of not figuring it out was lots of tears, right? But then don't just fucking cry either. That was the
Right.
energy. Like, what are you crying for? I'm going to give you something to cry about, kind
Yeah.
of thing. But that's what I mean. And then immediately after that, I was in boys' clothes. So starting 10 years old, I was in boys' clothes. So you go from one identity
To complete
to
other
completely
extreme.
different.
Yeah.
But if anybody lays a hand on you, you better beat them to a pulp. And I did, and I have, right? Because I've always defended other people.
Hmm.
I didn't do that for myself, but I did for other people. So I was always given these like conflicting ideas, and then we would go out in society, right, to these house parties or events or functions, and then again I'm in this princess outfit, right, like full decked out princess outfit. So it's like, what do you want from me? That's been an energy I feel like I've carried my whole life. What do you want from me? Right? Because nothing I do seems to measure up.
Yeah, I think from that stance, for myself, number one, because I'm the oldest.
Same.
I'm the oldest. I feel like, and maybe that's the reason why with my son, I wanted my first kid to be a boy because I'm like, no, like that was too much to carry,
Yeah.
right? Um,
I
but the
think
same,
all first daughters can
yeah, I think
understand
there
that,
is a
empathize with that.
bigger responsibility, if you can call that, to having to deal with just being the first one, and then having to do all the things that your dad would do with a boy, with a son, having to do them with him, and making sure that you're doing it correctly. If you're going to wash the car, make sure that you're drying it quickly so it doesn't get any water stains and
Change a
things,
tire,
exactly,
fill the
changing
oil,
tires.
change
And I
the oil.
think in my case, because at home, my dad, the way that he was raised, his dad was very aggressive and verbally abusive.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, in a way, he was following the same line.
Mm-hmm.
So at home, I mean, whatever my dad said, you had to be quiet and just do it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
there's
you could
no
you could
talking back. There's no
there
negotiation.
was no negotiation,
Yeah,
and there was no you speak your ground, nothing. Like, you had to do
because
whatever
then
they
you're
had to
talking
tell you.
back.
Exactly. But then when it came to like school grounds,
Mm-hmm.
I will be the one to bully other people. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
the one to bully other kids. If somebody, was messing, then I will immediately defend myself aggressively and kind of be like, no, like, don't mess with me, or this is what happens,
Right.
you know? And so I grew up in such a way that, it became all about being defensive.
Right? This whole
right? With other people, but
protective,
not at
yeah,
home.
protective stance. Well, because you had no power and control at
At
home.
home. So it
So
was
you
all like
made sure it was
always
there outside.
defensive.
Hmm.
So I didn't, I remember being 15 and going to kind of like a little market, like if you
Hmm.
were going to a farmers market and buying this little powder compact makeup
Yeah.
and some hoops.
Hmm.
And I used to hide them on my book bag.
Yeah.
And then my dad found them one day, threw them away, and I got punched for it because I was 15. I was not allowed to wear makeup yet.
Okay.
So then I was just like, okay, well, I kind of, and at some point they cut my hair in that mushroom cut that I look like a boy. Okay.
Do you know my entire childhood is either bald or in that mushroom bowl cut? And I swear to you, they probably did put a bowl over my head and just kind of ta ta ta
It
ta
was
ta
that
ta.
perfect.
It was that perfect. And I have curly hair. I have
Yeah.
frizzy curly hair.
So
You don't do
it was
shorts.
not gonna stay straight down.
No. Oh my God. I look like Toad from Mario Brothers. Like, damn, it was awful.
So I felt like during that period of time, I wasn't allowed to be feminine.
No.
I was not allowed to be feminine. There was no, oh, I remember wearing Bermudas, like, longer shorts,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then also it was always like, well, you gotta wear a whole, one piece bathing suit. And if you're
With a
going
t-shirt on
with
top.
a, right, and shorts. And if you're wearing a two piece, because some point in the 90s, they were famous
Uh,
getting like the kind of like the sports bra,
yeah.
but I mean, you wouldn't show your belly
Yeah.
because they had
It
like
had a
this
little
extra
strip.
little,
Yeah.
yeah. And I remember feeling like I was like the cutest thing ever wearing that. And at some point, I was allowed to get bangs, and I was
Okay.
probably like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I thought I was beautiful.
Of course.
And then after that, it was just kind of like you're not allowed to wear that. Number one, because you're
Yeah.
a little bit chunky,
Ah,
right?
that was the
Like you're right,
messaging.
like you're not skinny. Okay. So then it came around, okay, well, now you're turning 12. Now we gotta take you to the gym because you're expected to look a certain way since you're a girl.
Oh,
So I
dang.
remember being a 12-year-old and doing the aerobics class,
Yeah.
like you wearing you doing the stepper and wearing leotards
Yeah.
and going with my mom,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
But not
okay,
because it's fun.
not because it's fun, but it's
Right.
because
Or to be
you're a
healthy.
girl
Yeah.
and you're supposed to look this way.
Oh, the societal messaging, I swear to
So it's
God.
like, okay, well, then if I'm supposed to look this way but I don't, then I'm gonna cover my body as much as I can, so I'm
Yeah.
not disrupting anybody or calling attention.
Mm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, that's where it became, okay, well, let me wear the straight pants.
Yeah.
Wear straight pants, wearing I remember, I think for Christmas he bought me a leather jacket, and it was like an oversized, looking blazer leather jacket, and wearing it with sneakers.
Do you remember those Jinkos? Those really, really wide leg, like pants with the pockets everywhere? That was me. Like, and I'm 5'2.5", 3/4. I just say I'm 5'3". We're just gonna say I'm 5'3", but whatever, right? Like Oompa Loompa.
Like
Just
barrel
like
looking jeans with all the pockets. Yeah, and I think it wasn't until 15 once again where I was seeing everybody wearing the lip
pants.
glosses and the lip
But you
smacker lip
couldn't.
glosses, and everybody wanted one. Where my dad had gone on a trip and he brought me back some bell bottoms. I wore the heck out of those bell bottoms. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they were like ripping apart.
Mm-hmm.
They were long. I didn't care because I thought, oh, they look nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like they make me look like
Yeah.
all of the other girls.
Right.
So from it, it took a while for me to actually kind of like dive into like, okay, what makes me feel like a girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't feel like a girl with this masculine looking clothes,
Right.
right? It actually makes me not even want to like brush my hair or do anything really,
Yeah.
So then little by little, once I was out of the house in college, then it was like, okay, what clothes do I want to wear?
Yeah. What was it like? Because it was the same thing. I remember my girlfriend, my best friend in high school, she went to the same college I did. And this one time, I wore like a yellow something or another. It was like an athletic zip up something. And she was like, oh, hey, I like that. I was like, thank you. And we would exchange clothes and things like that, right? I loved her clothes. It was great. She was like she had access to money, she had access to buying whatever she wanted, she could express herself freely. Like, it was wonderful, right? So I love playing dress up with her stuff sometimes. But I didn't have that. So as here I am in college, ninth grade, I'm working. And so I have some money. So I'm going to go buy something. And I bought this yellow top, right? And she was like, it's so nice. I was like, thank you. And she's like, whose is it? I was like, mine. She's like, you bought it? I was like, yeah. She was like, huh. I was like, what? Why? You don't like it? She's like, no, I like it. It's just, it's color.
Like it's not something that she would expect.
Because I was
Yeah.
always in black, right? I was like this emo, dark, broody, traumatized, unhappy human being, right? Because I was. That is life.
Yeah.
But and it was baggy things, or definitely not
Like hiding
yes,
yourself at some point.
absolutely. I would hide behind my hair. I would hide behind my clothes, and so to wear. And girl, let me tell you, for months I did not touch that yellow again.
Oh
It
wow.
took me another year to be
Before
like,
you wore
okay,
it.
I will get more things of color, right? And now my friends are like, you're always in color. Like, what do you mean? But it was so hard because I didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, I think that was another part of high school for me. Always wearing sweaters in summertime, right?
Turtlenecks.
Not,
Oh,
you
Lord.
know what I mean? And now I see teenagers wearing sweaters in summertime, but in
Now
my
it's the cool
case,
thing to do.
I was right. In my case, I was like, well, for me, my biggest trauma was okay, my arms. My arms are too big.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna wear sleeveless.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear t-shirts, and we're not gonna wear anything tight because I don't want my parents to say anything about my body. Let's
Is
wear.
that what they did? Is that why you
Yeah,
have a thing with your arms?
it was. I'm telling you. I remember going off to college, and there was one night that my I had made this friend, and she loved salsa dancing,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Let's go dancing," and I was just like, "Okay." So I remember I put on the jeans that were a little bit more fitted, and there was this one sleeveless sweater like shirt, but it wasn't like a sweater, it was just like the fabric, and it had like a square neck, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna wear that tonight.
Okay.
And I had never worn it. Whenever I had worn it, I mean, it was with a sweater or a jacket. It
Right.
was never
A
just
cover
on
up.
its own.
Yeah.
And so I remember that day just feeling confident enough to say, you know what, I want to wear this. And I wore it, and it felt so good in that moment to be like, well, I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Number one, my parents are not here to see me. Okay, so they're not gonna,
That's why.
right? They're not gonna criticize my body. But I was like, you know what? Nobody knows me in this place, so nobody's gonna have anything to say.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
hear grown people still say comments like that, where like I went I love salsa dancing,
Mhm.
as you know. And I made a friend there, and he takes all the classes. I take none of the classes. And he found out why. Because once, we decided to meet up at LA Fitness, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, we'll go dancing. We'll practice. Because I get to go maybe once a month because I'm honestly just too tired other times. And then it's winter, so I definitely try not to leave the house ever. But he was like, you want to play tennis? And I was like, no, we're here to dance. Let's go. And then he was like, did you need to do a workout? I was like, bitch, I already did my workout this morning. I told you this. We're here. Why are we here? Right. And
Mhm.
then he was like, okay, let's go where all the bikes are because the lights are turned off. And then, no one knows me here. I was like,
What?
I was like, and even if they did, I was like, you have a skill set that most people don't.
Don't.
Be
Yeah.
proud of that. It's amazing.
Mhm.
And so we did, and we did a whole choreography thing. And he found out that the reason I don't take classes is then I start to lead. He was like, wait, you're setting it up for me. I'm supposed to be setting it up for you. And I was like, right, you're right, you're right. And I was like, this is literally why I don't take classes, because then I'm gonna take over. It's so hard to sit back and just be feminine
And be led.
and be led.
Yeah,
I love it, by the way. It's the best thing
Yeah.
ever. It's the most, I feel beautiful. I feel sensual. I feel desirable. I feel all the things when
Let
I'm
somebody
dancing.
else take care of me.
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
it's marvelous. but that instinct of mine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I'm following the music and I'm like, okay, so this is coming next, you know, so I just go ahead and especially if he skipped a beat, you know, then
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, and he was like, stop it. But it's this integral part of my blueprint, right?
Yeah.
To do it right, do it perfect, help everybody figure it out on the along the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just it's so hard to put that down.
It is. I don't think I realized that until maybe about a year ago.
Okay.
That I'm in constant competition with other
Okay.
people.
Are you?
It doesn't matter what it is, you know?
Okay.
And I think that's part of what has caused a lot of times so much stress and frustration
Yeah.
without realizing that I'm like constantly, well, I need to be better than so and so.
Okay.
Oh, I need to show them that I know how to do it, that I'm not making a mistake.
To prove it.
To
To
prove,
prove to
right, to
yourself
prove
and to
exactly.
everybody
And
else.
even if people didn't even know,
Yeah.
but even at work, like at some point I was just like, oh no, like I'm gonna work extra hard, I'm gonna do this extra because I need them to know that I'm doing better than
That
them.
I'm good. Yeah.
Right, that and people have no idea, like zero idea. And it wasn't until, like I said, probably last year that I was just like, well, why I'm so stressed out? Like nobody's putting this burden on me, like it's myself.
Yeah.
And I'm
No one
like, yeah,
asked
I'm
this
like,
of me.
right, not nobody said this for me, like nobody's asking me to compete with anybody.
But is that true though? That nobody asked you?
I asked myself.
Well, no, because like yesterday, right?
Hmm.
God, we had a traumatic 2 days. I need the universe to leave me alone for a little bit. Just stop slapping me around. I feel like every week I do one of these podcasts and I'm just like, I am, oh my God, like it is happening over here. I needed to chill the fuck out. But it did. My cat escaped, an indoor cat,
Oh no.
um, the Prince of Darkness, right? And I was at first, I was like, fine, go see what it's like to be outside. Because I thought he was just going to come back in a
Hmm.
few, like maybe 30 minutes max. It's dark, the sun was setting, right? I was like, you're not going to stay out there. He
Yeah.
didn't come home.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we all went out in the neighborhood, you know, calling for him, looking for him. We thought we heard him in a neighbor's yard, went and knocked on the door, like in the dark. And then it's freezing. And so we're all over in the bushes trying to find like, we didn't find him. Spent all day yesterday trying to find him also. My little man that, you know, he wakes up on the days he doesn't have to go to school at like 10 o'clock, 11 if you let him, right? He's just leisurely laying around like a 17-year-old does. Was up at 7
Looking for him.
outside looking for him, right? We were not good. We were not okay. And at that point, it was like, he's probably dead, right? So I'm sobbing in between sessions and then like, suck it up, get it together, right? But I didn't even tell my parents this, but I was like, my dad was like, you're gonna go out of town, you know, soon. Am I gonna see you before then? And I was like, probably. I'm always around, right? At least once a week I see you at
Hmm.
some point or another. And he's like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So as all of this is transpiring for 2 days, right?
Hmm.
He's like blowing up my phone because he's at Costco. He's like, well, what do you need from Costco? And I love it. You know, like you love me, you care about me, you're asking. I'm in session,
You're like, I need my cat right now.
you know, but I was in session. So I'm
Oh, you're
already trying
working.
to
Yeah,
like,
concentrate and
and I
everything. Yeah.
dissociate from my life to be
Hmm.
able to be fully present in my clients, right?
Hmm.
Because you can't do that. You can't bring your shit there. And then I was like, just chicken. There, he'll leave it alone because he can't not also bring anything. I can
Hmm.
be like, no, thank you. And he'll still show up with the most random things, right? To be like, because I have to get this for you because this is what love is, right? And then as he's leaving, he's like, if I don't come here, I don't ever see you. So like we are all traumatized and having such a hard existence right now, trying not to be like this baby's dead, right? And you're over here like, again, I did something wrong because I didn't come over and the kids are out of school. By the way, I was still working
Hmm.
when
Yeah,
he
you were
came.
not on break.
No, I'm still working. I had still a full 6 session day. And then he comes right at the end, which now he knows, like, don't show up before my workday is over. Because he'll come and stand by the doors over there and start, like, yo. hello. And I'm just like, dude, oh my God, you do
You're
know
like,
I'm
what's
working.
happening right now?
And, I try to,
Hmm.
whoever if I'm in a video session, I try to tell them, like, just so you know, I see homie just rolled up. More than likely, he'll try to interrupt this. Like, he won't come in and he won't
Hmm.
look at anything,
But he's just from
but
the
he's gonna
door,
make
like,
himself
yeah.
known. But then that pressure, that's what I
Hmm.
mean. Like, are you sure that you don't know why that's there and why you had that? Because I know why I have my shit.
Well, I mean, aside from the fact that of the expectations, I think that there were places I was, young. There
Yeah.
was also the expectation of the grades.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
back in my home country, honor roll was first, second, and third place.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was posted
Ah.
by the door of the classroom.
Yeah.
So if you were not within those, three spots, then you're probably not smart enough, or you're probably not trying hard enough. So the problem became, because I never saw that in another school, but once I got into this Christian academy,
Yeah.
where that's how they made it known
Yeah.
who had the best grades. It became at home. It became the you have to be there.
That's your measuring.
You have to be there. Okay, you have to be within the first three spots. And if you're in the third spot, why not the first one? Why are you not first place? So it became of like, okay, well, I had frenemies because we were friends, but then you're also my competition because you're
See?
smart. so,
But that's so sad
so
though
it
to me.
became like, okay,
Yeah.
well, like you're my friend, but then I don't want to get too close to you because I'm trying,
Right.
like
It's
I'm
division.
internally trying to beat you, but you
Right.
don't know that.
Right.
You don't know that. Like you think we're friends. I mean, we're still friends on Facebook, but and it's been over 25 years.
Yeah.
But it was always like, okay, yeah, we're friends because we're smart and we're trying
Mm.
hard. But so then it became okay, well, and I remember it was mean, but I remember having like a spelling test,
Mm.
and I would sit there and we were lined up for the test, like we had like three rows,
Mm-hmm.
and we would sit there and the teacher would say, oh, the word this. I would misspell it, just so that the other kids around would misspell it in the test. I knew the right answer, but I wanted them
Well, because
to fail,
your
because
livelihood relied on that.
right.
Yes.
So that became the thing, to where I would whisper, like, and I would whisper the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and it was always like, okay, well, make sure that they that they do worse, that
Right.
they don't do as good, so that became the thing. Okay,
Right.
then we go into another school that was inside of a college, and it
Mm-hmm.
was, oh my goodness, that was middle school.
Mm-hmm.
That school was inside of a college. Same situation. Okay. So I remember my dad, every single morning, he would go drop me off and he would tell me, remember, he's like, you can let go. He's like, you have to hold your spot until the last bell is rung.
So what's the the unspoken part of it? Because if the unspoken part being, if you don't, then what? What did you believe?
Like I was gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like I was getting in trouble, like I was not enough.
Yeah.
I was not proving myself enough,
Yeah.
So I played a lot like that, with my classmates, but it was also like, well, I'm gonna bully you. Like I'm gonna bully you, and I was always getting in trouble. I mean, I almost got kicked out of the Christian Academy because I was always getting in trouble. But it became of like, okay, yeah, like I'm a bully and I get in trouble, but I can still perform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, okay, you might be getting in trouble, but you got bad grades. I don't.
Yeah.
So it became that thing. So at least for
It
I mean,
defined
almost
you.
6 to 7 years
Yeah.
of always the same thing. So then we come here and I start going to high school here, and it was just like, okay, well, now I have to like make sure I know English. So it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna, I started reading, and I fell so in love with reading books that it helped me learn English. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember, okay, well, I'm gonna show them that number one, I'm gonna learn English the fastest. So I was writing all these words, listening, watching subtitles in movies.
But it wasn't because, oh, I want this. It was,
It was,
I
I'm gonna
have
show
to.
them,
It
right?
was fear based.
Right, but now it became of like, well, we're in a different country now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show them now I know more than my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So they can't hold it over you
despite my
anymore.
dad has a doctorate degree, I was like, I'm gonna show him I can do more. So it was like, okay, within a year, I was testing out of ESOL.
Mm-hmm.
I was learning French at the same time I was learning English, then getting into honors classes, AP classes. So I was just kind of, and for them, they're like, oh, yeah, we're proud. But for me, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, you brought me here, and now I can do this and this and this. Getting into honors club, being the president of honors
Did it
club.
feel like they were proud, or did it feel like it was expected?
I think it became an expectation just because that's how that's how I had been living
Yes.
my academic life.
Right.
It was never the,
It wasn't
oh,
like
she's gonna fail.
celebrated.
No, it
Yeah.
was not a celebration anymore. It was like, oh, we know she's gonna do this.
Oh, so
Okay,
that's
we
a
know she
whole
was gonna
ass
do this.
another type of pressure.
So then it became to the point where my dad said, okay, you're graduating high school. If you don't get to college and get a scholarship, we're flying you back home. And then
What?
it
So
was
your
like,
whole life, everything that
right,
you left
right. And
behind
mind you,
assimilated
it was not
here
gonna be me. He
I
was like, "We're the whole family is moving back to our
because of
home
you.
country if you don't get into college and you don't get a scholarship." So
Wow.
they became the rat race. I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure, like, whatever little community service, whatever I can put on
Yeah.
on this letter, whatever I can do. And I remember,
Because you're going to ruin everybody's life
right,
if you
mind you,
don't.
at that point, I wasn't a green card resident yet.
Yeah.
So that even limit my choices. I remember being in high school, and my dream was I want to go to UGA.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to go. That's where all of these kids are going.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do. But number one, I was like, the money wasn't there. I was
Right.
like, I was not gonna get the
The
Hope
scholarship.
scholarship, like
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So I was just like, okay, now I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. So I, researching schools, applying, taking the SATs and the SAT and the ACT, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I had like the best grades. Passing my AP test just to make
Right.
sure that I had that college credit. And I applied. I got into college, and they gave me the scholarship. So my dad was like, "Okay, we're staying then." And so we're paying for your dorm since everything else is going to be taken care of. And I remember now, um, and he never actually read that, but to apply to that scholarship, as a minority, I had to write an essay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can't remember the topic of the essay, but it was about kind of like generational, not wealth, but it was, like how me going to college was going to serve me.
Right.
Okay, and so I wrote a whole entire essay about my great grandparents and my grandpa working in coffee fields. And like, I mean, like this sad situation, and how my grandpa worked so hard in a coffee field
Yeah.
to get my dad to go to college.
Yeah.
And so, because my dad went to college and got a doctorate degree, my dad used to say that I was expected to go above and beyond. So
Above and beyond the
yeah,
doctorate?
yeah. So he said he got a doctorate degree, and he's like, I couldn't, do a specialty, that you're gonna have to do that. He's like, you're gonna have to step on my shoulders and go above that. That
Mm-hmm.
was his thing,
Because of his sacrifices.
right? So I wrote the essay.
Mm.
I got in,
Mm-hmm.
but half of the story was a lie. Okay, half of the story was a made up sad story that I could come up with, and, because the story entirely wasn't that way. You know, yeah,
But
I
you
mean, there
didn't
was
think
hardship.
just by you would be able to get in.
No, I mean, there was like either I get in or I'm flying back.
But not just that, it's like this belief that I can't just present myself as I am
Right.
because that's not enough. So let me, you know, elaborate or, exaggerate.
Exactly, exaggerate the story, because once again, it was a minority scholarship. So I'm like, oh, there's like all these hundreds of Latino kids applying. My story has to stand out,
Yeah.
and it did. It did. But then the turnaround was, we all got into a school. The kids that got their scholarship, we all got to know each other, and then the recruiter, she goes, hey, the scholarship board really like your essay. They want to publish it in a newspaper.
Oh my
Okay. Now
God.
it was a local newspaper
Uh huh.
from Savannah, because I went to school. And I was just like, oh my goodness. I never told my dad the essay got published. So, she told me, hey,
Is there
redact your
shame with
essay.
that?
Well, it was just like, well, I was like, first of all, he's gonna figure out that some of the story is not entirely all my grandpa's. It was actually like generations past,
Uh-huh.
you know. I was putting the whole load on my grandpa,
Yeah.
and so I mean the story just wasn't true.
Yeah.
That's not really how things happen.
Yeah.
It was not all my grandpa. So I mean
But
the
you weren't willing to go to your father and say, "Look, I did what needed to be done, what I believe needed to be done to get what you wanted from me." You weren't willing to say that either.
no,
Right.
no, because at this point, I mean, they
You
were
just
proud that I
carried
got
the
into
shame
right,
inside.
right. So I was just like,
Ah,
oh, I was like, I'm not gonna tell nobody about this essay. I mean, everybody back at the school knew. So I'm not bringing this newspaper home.
yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I kept a copy. Where it is, I don't know. But I was just like, oh, I'm like, he can't read that story. He's gonna know that that's not the true thing that happened. Like
Right.
he's gonna know that I exaggerated the story.
Right.
And so,
And then what? If he
right.
did, then what?
I
What would
just
happen?
exactly. It was always fear. Everything was always
Right.
fear based.
Fear of it, it sounds like
Disappointing, not measuring enough, and just
rejecting, just
exactly.
completely, oh, you're not what I wanted you to be, so I'm going to be done with you. Was he like that as a person? Kind of just
Oh
like
yeah, he
cut and dry?
was.
Well,
He
no
was.
wonder
He
then.
was. I mean, if you didn't, let's say measure up, or if you spoke back to him
Yeah.
because maybe like he was unfairly punishing you because
Right.
of something, and you spoke back, number one, you would get punished,
Yeah.
and second, he wouldn't talk to you.
Oh, he would just shun
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So then there was that cold treatment. Like,
Mm,
okay, well, I'm not gonna
the
talk to you.
withdrawing of love.
Right.
I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna
gonna
love
talk to
you.
you. I'm not even gonna look at you.
You don't exist.
Exactly. You just don't exist until I feel better and I decide to talk to you. So that's how, that was all growing up.
Yeah.
So, I go off to college and then I'm doing my own thing now. So I'm like, now I'm wearing the clothes that I want. Now, if I want to go out to party, then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to have all the friends that I want. I'm going to talk to all the people that I want, and like, he's not here,
Yeah.
you know?
You literally had to be away, physically away, in order to try to figure out who you were without those
Yeah.
restrictions.
So, mind you, along with that came, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be in school,
Mm.
and I think that like the last semester, I think I failed 3 classes
Mm-hmm.
just because I was like, I don't know what I want. Like, I don't know if I want this. I'm like, I'm not understanding this. The school was huge. We had 120 people in each class. And I'm like, well, I will walk into class and then I will walk back out. Like, okay, I'm going to check in for the attendance and then I'm leaving because I just don't care. So it was
Defiance.
right. And it was like, well, he's not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll figure it out. He's not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point I already had a part-time job as well, so then I had money
Mm-hmm.
to go out and travel to other places with my little car or whatever. So but it took, and I think I made a lot of mistakes because of that too, because in the whole search of like, okay, who I am and what freedom is supposed to be like, you're still battling with the ideas of what your identity is supposed to be,
Right.
right? Who you're actually supposed to be. So it's like
Instead of who
back
you
out
are.
there, I'm one person, but then I'm back home
And I don't know what to do
and
with
I'm a
it.
totally different person. So then I
Yeah.
don't want to be home
Right.
because I can't be myself,
Right.
right? I have to act different. Um, so it was like I said, it was a journey. It was a journey. So then you fall into like, okay, then you get married to a person that is completely 180 degrees different
I know
of
nothing about that.
what was expected. You know what I mean? Like a
Yes.
hundred, like to the point where now, looking back, I'm like, well, him and I had nothing in common, like zero.
Right.
I'm like, how did I even expect that
Gonna work
we
out.
were gonna work out? Like we had
Yeah.
zero things in common, you
But you
know?
did, you thought you didn't want the same repetitive, cycle of what you had at home.
Right. And I thought at that moment, oh, as different, the most different that it can be, the better it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Right? If this person is completely different to what I've ever seen and to what I've ever experienced, it must be better. It has to be. So in my way of thinking back in the day, I was just like,
Yes.
oh yeah, no, this is gonna be it.
Yeah. Yep.
This is gonna be
Yep.
it. And it was not it. You know?
Well, no, because even if behaviorally he seemed different, he still made you feel exactly the same way you always had. It was still the rejection. It was still the dismissal. It was still the not good enough, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and towards the end of the marriage, I mean, all of that rejection came in.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was always there in different
It just showed up
manners.
differently.
But then
Right.
at the end, like it was just flat out,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
I don't
Same
want to
kind
see
of
you.
stonewalling.
Right, right.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so then you get out of that situation, the divorce comes through, and then it's like, now I have to rediscover who I really am.
Again.
And I'm 27, I'm about to hit 30,
And
and
you have a
then
child.
now I have to, right, and now, right. So not only I have to figure out who I am, really who I am, but I also have to raise a 3-year-old that is just figuring out who he is.
Mm, mm.
So I think it's, like I said, it's been a journey, but then you also appreciate, all those, different seasons of life, because I'm like, now I know, I wouldn't want my son or my daughter
Yeah.
to go through that. And you also help to it also helps to recognize when somebody else, is maybe going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And you really realize, okay, I can be empathetic, and I know how you're feeling and
Right.
how I can help you.
Right.
And figure out that, what,
I've been there.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right, that maybe, like, because you were raised that way, you might feel like you don't see any other way.
Right.
Right. I don't know if we just become, immune or blind to any other point of view, because this is what it was just ingrained in you until, something happens and it kind of forces you.
Right. I mean, but because that's all you know.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only, computer system that's in that brain.
Right.
Right. It will run in that way because that's what it was. It came from nothing and that's what it has. Right. That's what was programmed. How are you supposed to know anything else?
Right. If you don't know any
Unless
different.
you experience it, right? Or are open to it, are exposed to it through your friendships or whatever. So many people think so much is normal until they're like, wait, what do you mean that's not
That's
normal?
not. That was
Right?
normal maybe in your house,
Right, like that
but
doesn't happen
that
to
was
you
the
too?
everyday thing. But
Right.
no, and I think, after all of that, I really made it intentional to start rediscovering who I was.
Yes.
And along with that also, I told myself, hey, rediscover who you are, but never lose your, you know, who you will really have been this whole entire
The
time.
core of you.
The caring person, the empathetic person, the generous person, the sweet person that you are,
Right.
all of that. Don't lose that. Like, don't lose that just because all of this happened.
Right.
And then even whenever you're rediscovering yourself, like, really acknowledge and just own who you are.
Right. Accountability.
Right. So then owning who I really was, owning what I really thought, that, obviously it's different than
Right.
what my family,
Right.
the way that they think, or my parents,
Right.
it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to stay my ground. I'm not being disrespectful, but this is who I am,
Right.
and I accept myself
Right.
the way
So
I
I'm gonna
am.
need you to accept me too.
Right.
Or don't. And then now it's, even if it's met with that kind of rejection, I'll be okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So
That's a hard
yeah.
one. My son asked me last night. My eldest, he does the either or thing. Does your son
Mm-hmm.
play that game with you?
No.
Would you rather this or this? I mean, he picks the most asinine topics for me to choose between. I'm just like, mommy, what? And he's like, that's the point. Make it hard. So the one from last night
Uh-huh.
was, would you rather have a perfect body? Because everybody in
Mm-hmm.
this household knows that I've spent the last almost 4 years trying to figure out what's wrong with my body, right? Why everything's shutting down, why everything doesn't function, and the weight loss, weight gain, the inflammation, and all of that. Weight loss hasn't happened, but you know what I'm saying. And it was so drastic, and I had a lot of health issues because of it. And so he's like, would you rather have the perfect body, meaning you're strong, you're fit, you're
Mhm.
actually healthy on the inside.
Mhm.
Um, and including your mind,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
Because again, therapist,
Yeah.
right? So my kids are well versed in what I struggle with, as
Mhm.
in they know that, mommy has major depressive disorder and PTSD. Like it is just what it is. Everybody knows that. Because that is what it is,
Mhm.
right? And he was like, so would you have the perfect body in that sense, right? Healthy mind, healthy body, and all of that, or um, have a completely different existence where nothing that's happened to you that's led to the body shutting down, you remember my blood
Right.
was poisoned
Mhm.
at one point, all the shit that's been
Mhm.
happening, and then the mental struggles that I've had over my lifetime. He's like, or you just have a perfect, like,
Perfect life.
cherry life
Yeah.
leading up to now.
Mhm.
And I told him, and I was just like, yeah, but that's the I was like, but the stuff that's happened, I don't believe in everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe that it was predestined for me to suffer the way I
No.
have. I don't believe in that. I never have. And I know it goes against the religion that I was raised
Mhm.
with, and then the religions that I followed, the religions that I studied, and all of the above. But I was like, what I have endured
Mhm.
is the masala of my personality, right? That's what flavors who I am as a human being. The darkness that I do carry
Mhm.
within me, with my humor, with how I see the world, and how fiercely protective I am of everybody else.
Mhm.
um I'm not going to say it's because of my trauma, like that
Mhm.
had to happen for me to be who I am, but it definitely influenced who I ended up
Oh,
being.
it shapes you.
Yeah. So I was like, I wouldn't want to undo any of that. It didn't help, but I don't know who I would be. I was like, I don't know who I would be if I was just like la 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 la. I was like, can you imagine mommy being that way? All hopeful and like happy and like bubbly. And he was like, Jesus. And turned around and walked away.
That was the moment he
I was
realized.
like, ew, no. Right? Because he and I are very, very similar.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo of the two of them, the
Mhm.
symbol, and he's the moon and the other one's the sun, because that's his personality. He's
Mhm.
very mysterious and quiet and dark and deep and all of that side of
All of
who I
that.
am,
Yeah.
right? And then little man is
Complete.
sunshine, just
Always like smiling.
and hopeful.
Yeah.
He was the one that was always always hopeful. He had a moment
Mhm.
where I thought I was going to lose all of that just because of the traumas that he had gone through.
Mhm.
Um, ugh, because of my life choices, and who I chose to procreate with. Uh, but he's been able to heal from that, and he's back to being. Again, he's the one that went and dug out my cat, right? Like the little one, my
Mhm.
youngest one, went and found him, went through the bushes,
Oh wow.
and like and found him and like carried him back home, like three neighborhoods down,
Oh
right?
wow.
Because that's just
Who he is?
goodness,
Yeah.
right? And he's always like, what was it? Like before I went to bed, the night before, when I was like, oh my God, my little man's not coming back, right? Like the
Mhm.
Prince of Darkness is not on his way home. That's not his name. His name is Loki. But, or Demon Child or whatever I call him. Because he's a black cat and he acts like a black cat. So I was like, oh my God, he's not coming home, right? And then I was like, and then I was like, don't think about that. Because if you think about that, mom, like, then you're not going to sleep. And we don't need another night of you not sleeping. It's like, then you're going to have migraines. And da-da. He was like, just remember, you don't focus on the outcome. And I was just like,
Okay. Thank you, therapist.
who? Like, okay, you guys are absorbing what I teach you. I was like, okay, you're right.
Which is good.
Yep.
It's good. It makes them more aware
Right.
and conscious and.
But going back to what you said, this again, pressure
Mhm.
that this because I've come to you, with my life, with the myriad of
Mhm.
migraines that I get because of the pressure I put on myself to make sure these babies do not relive what I did.
Yeah, I think it's a huge thing. But in my case, with my son, I think I've learned to. I'm like, I know I'm not the same.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the same, and I know the way that I'm raising him it's not the same way that I got raised.
Right.
So I know that it's going to be a different outcome.
Right.
You know, it's not going to be the same. And I can see that with the
Isn't
way
it
that he
beautiful
handles
to see?
himself,
Oh,
how, sweet, how conscious and how open he can be with me
yes.
and not be scared.
Right.
And it all goes back to like, okay, I'm doing the intentional and conscious decision
Right.
with every word and every action. Okay, how I handle myself with him. Sometimes
Right.
it's hard because once again,
'Cause
like
you're
I'm always
human.
being like the aggressive, defensive, like, oh, ready. And it's like, okay, as much as you just piss me off right now, let's talk about this, okay? I want you to understand why
Right.
this was wrong,
Right.
rather than like I'm just going to punish you and ground you and you don't even know why what you did was
Right.
wrong. So I've seen a huge difference, to which even my parents, they're like, well,
Yeah.
you never even like punish him or like give him the belt. My
They say
yeah,
that.
because yeah, he's like,
Okay.
like we've counted maybe 3 times his whole entire lifetime.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, because I want him to understand.
Right.
So he makes the right choices for his own life and not just based out of
And
fear.
trying not to get caught.
Exactly. Like hide things.
Yes.
So I think that has definitely helped a lot. It's changed a lot in the
Yeah.
dynamic that my parents, they have noticed that.
See,
They
mine are different. My parents are like, make sure you don't say certain things. I'm like, yes, I know. I don't. I won't. I wouldn't. And it's like you can. I've therapized the fuck out of my parents too. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
they're not the same people that I was raised by.
Yeah.
And we would have like, my boundary setting with them when that started was 100% when my first son was born. Because I was like, ooh, talk about a fierce, fierce lioness. Like I was like, you will not do to them what was done to me.
Yeah.
And again, my parents had no malicious intent, right?
No,
They
that's just
literally
what they
did,
thought was right.
and he did better than what my grandfather did to him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even now my dad's like, of course my success is his, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah, why do you think you are the way you are? Because if I let you think that you were anything other than ignorant and, kind of useless or not enough, then you wouldn't have tried so hard to prove me wrong. And I was like, bro,
Wow.
like,
Thank you.
mm, mm.
I
I see that.
I see that now.
I see that that's really what you believe got me to where I am.
Yeah, it's like I said, and it's just
Like they really do.
they really do. I remember I was graduating college.
Mm.
Okay, I was graduating college, and my dad was like, oh, "I'm so proud of you, but I'm not gonna be entirely proud until you look a certain way."
Again,
Because you're gonna go to
conditional
chiropractic
love.
school, so if you're gonna be a doctor,
That is
it,
that a cultural thing? Because for me, you know, if I, I could go twice in the same day and hear, "Are you not eating? You look like a skeleton. Like your face is hollowed out." And then turn around and be like, "Mommy, you really need to consider losing some weight." Same fucking day.
yeah, no, with them it's always been like, I remember, like I said, I don't know what obsession they've got with weight,
That's what
but
I mean. Is that a cultural thing? Because
it
I mean,
is,
my
it
sisters had it
is.
worse
Because I mean,
on that
I
front.
remember standing one day and I'm talking with my mom and she goes, "Hey," she's like, "Oh my god," she's like, "You need to do something about that."
Yeah, I've had my back fat and my arm fat squeezed.
Yeah. So I remember the other day he was like, "Oh, are you out of the gym again?" "Yeah, I'm at the gym every day." "Oh, okay, well that's good. That's good." It's like, and then he goes, "Hey, are you taking your diabetes medication?" I was like, "Yeah, but I just literally had a protein shake, no carbs, so I'm not gonna take it.
Yeah,
I don't
not
want
enough.
my
Yeah,
blood sugar to tank."
yeah.
Oh, you're eating healthy.
See, I get mocked for eating
He's
healthy.
like, "That's really good."
I get mocked for eating healthy,
He goes,
right?
"That's
Because
really
they
good."
need me to eat the
The way that
curry,
they
the
no, he
everywhere.
goes,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's really good." You know what I was thinking? He's like, "Next month I'm gonna start going to the gym."
mm.
I was like, "Yeah, that'll be good, Dad."
See, I
That'll
would
be
get
good.
mocked for eating healthy and working out, but then also commented on not being as thin as I was. And I'm
With
like, you're
them,
right. I'm not. I put on, what was it, 25 pounds, I think, over the course of 8 months.
yeah,
And I couldn't figure out why.
what was going
And
on?
that
Yeah.
was all of the nonsense that was happening with my hormones and with just stress and my blood being poisoned, whatever. Right. But then it's like, are you sure? Because you don't look like you're dying.
I'm bleeding every month. I'm dying.
I was like, huh. And then at the same time, like literally the next day, don't take on so much pressure. Okay, life is too short. It's not worth
Well,
it.
okay, just to give you an example, with the whole, health situation, whenever I had appendicitis and the pain wasn't going away, I drove myself to the hospital. Okay. I remember I got up and I was like, oh my God, this pain is not getting any better. I was like, it's getting worse. And the guy that I was dating at the time, he goes, I think it's your appendix. He's like, the same thing happens to me. He
Mm.
said, you need to go to the hospital. I was like, okay, let me shower. I'm going to get myself ready, get my book bag ready, and I'm going to go to the hospital. Drove myself to the hospital. The 3 days that I was in the hospital, nobody showed up. Okay. Except the guy that I was dating. Now, when it was time to go home, then they went to pick me up. Okay. I would like 10 days later, the wound opens. At this point, I have an internal infection. I have to go back to the hospital. Once again, got into the car. I was feeling so sick, drove myself back into the hospital. Another 3 days. Then they went to pick me up. So it's like, well, whenever you need care or you're in pain, you're relying on your kids. Okay. You want me to take care of you because you're a parent. But because I'm always looking out for everybody and I always can solve all the problems, then I'm expected to be okay if I walk myself into the hospital, and I should be okay.
Right.
You should be okay. Just let me know
Right.
when I need to go pick you up.
Right.
So it's kind of like I
Because
feel
you
like
can't be weak.
exactly. I feel like the standard there changes.
Yeah.
Like you have to be strong,
Right.
and if there's something going on health wise, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But don't let it be me if I have a headache or a stomach ache or I feel like I'm gonna faint, because then it's like you need to be next to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes they don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Like the seriousness is not the same when it comes to another person.
So I wonder though if it's, and I could be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I wonder if they acknowledge that you're human and that you have these moments where you're not well,
Right.
then it would, the foundation of how they've been cared for will crumble. And then to face that would be then, well, then you have other siblings that I never put this pressure on, and I might have to, because then if you're not around, then who's going to be? And that's too uncomfortable to try to figure out or face.
Well, and just to give you an example, just the other day, my sister, I really think that she has psoriatic arthritis and
Mm-hmm.
psoriasis. She's always dealt with this whole like scalp, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
flakiness and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. And the other day, my dad calls me. He's like, "Hey, are you busy?" And I'm like, "No, like, what's up? How can I help you?" He goes, "Can you call a pharmacy? I sent a prescription for a special shampoo for your sister. Um, I just don't like how it seems like it bothers her because sometimes she's scratching her head,
Yeah.
and I just feel so bad for your sister.
Yeah.
She's
So much empathy
she's
and care for
32.
her,
She's 32.
but
I
not
feel
for
so
you.
bad for your sister. Can you call? Make sure that there's a discount."
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like you want me to go pick up the prescription too and like pay for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can on your way home. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so you see her scratching her head, and immediately we need to do something about it.
Right.
Okay. But if you're sick, if I'm sick, then it's my birthday. I was sick. I had a cold during my birthday. Oh no, we're gonna go eat dinner.
Suck it up.
We're gonna go eat dinner. You look really sick, but go get ready. We're gonna go eat dinner. Well, I don't feel like going out anywhere. We're gonna go eat dinner tonight.
because you have to
Okay.
be okay.
Okay. Well, let me go put on makeup then so I
Right.
don't look like I'm dying.
Right.
And so
It's
I can,
because for
you
them,
know,
you have to
and
be
make
okay.
sure that, I'm all cheery and happy to be eating dinner for my birthday, even though I don't want to be there because I don't feel well.
Right.
So I feel like, what you're saying, like the pressure and the standards and the expectations do change. Why? I don't know. I don't know what they changed from just, the oldest to like my little sister. She's
Yeah.
the youngest. The expectations are different,
Oh,
you
girl.
know?
That's a whole nother. I could spend a whole podcast just about that birth order
Yeah.
and the roles and everything that you embody and the meaning for them.
Hmm.
That's just, and it's unfair. It feels
It
unfair.
is. It is.
But as far as the mentality goes, I used to get really, really offended and upset because the demands and the expectations were
Hmm.
so different. And then when I would talk back, I would say things like, well, I do this and I'm expected to. And then the response was always, but they're not you.
Hmm. Yeah.
It was just
Same
that.
here.
It's just that, but they're not you. And I got so sick of hearing that. But I will say, always being like, but that's not you. My friends would say stuff like that to me too,
Mm.
where I would get so upset because the love that I'm giving, whatever that looked like, and to
Hmm.
whomever I was giving that to, when I wouldn't get that reciprocated, and I would say, well, I do blah 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 blah, and I would always be met. Not anymore, not with the
Hmm.
friendships I have now, obviously, thank God. But kind of that accepting the love you feel like you deserve. I also had friendships that would mirror that same kind of messaging, where I don't deserve that kind of love because I'm different and I have this superpower. So obviously I can give it, but I should never expect that same in return.
Yeah.
And then I continued in relationships over and over and over again where they got better. Everyone was better than the one that came before, but somehow it was still
It was.
not to the point where they would give me back what I give. I don't have those reciprocal relationships.
Hmm.
And if you don't advocate for yourself that, yeah, you do, because if you don't believe it, you're not going to get it.
Right.
Right
Right.
now, I have friendships that would immediately like, the fuck?
Right. Like, what do you
you know
mean?
if I talk about this is what's going on, they'd be like, the fuck? I think not. And hell no. Right. And I love it so much because they're so fierce. And it's my guy friends, it's my girlfriends, it doesn't matter. They're the fierce friends that I've always been, but I never had.
Yeah. I
And I have
think,
that now.
right. And I think, there is that saying, like, you're the sum of the people that you're surrounding yourself with.
Yes.
I think, obviously, number one, friendships definitely, they do change throughout the
Yes.
different seasons
Yes.
in life. But once you start, like I said, advocating for yourself, once you start, allowing yourself, okay, to not only give, but also, and it comes with like boundaries and, terminating relationships or friendships,
Bingo. That's the part.
like,
Because when you've grown up with
mhm,
so much rejection, it's so hard to let a friendship go no matter how bad it is, or a relationship, or a romantic relationship. It doesn't
right,
matter. It's so hard to let that go because that fear is so deeply ingrained and so interwoven with your self worth.
exactly. But once you realize, like you said, the self-worth, really, what is it that you really want? What do you want? You know, Whatever you want, you're going to give it to yourself, and then you have to place those boundaries.
Yeah.
And, if that's, to me, it's like, okay, what's my standard of love?
Right.
Right? What does it, what is love to me?
Right.
What do I want?
Right.
Right? In a relationship, in a friendship,
Right.
if what I want is not being given to me,
Then no,
where
thank
I'm
you.
getting up, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna walk away,
Right.
right? Because I'm gonna respect my self worth, and
Right.
it's I'm gonna respect myself,
Right.
right? So then you start attracting people because you start surrounding yourself with people that think like you,
Mm-hmm.
or people, maybe with people that you admire,
Mm-hmm.
right? You start, in a
Absolutely.
way, leveling up,
Right.
where you have been your whole entire, life, and then you start growing and you start realizing, hey, no, I kind of like this better. I kind of wouldn't want to go back 5, 10 years
Oh
ago.
my goodness.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
no,
no,
no, like we're gonna
absolutely not.
grow. We're
Right,
gonna grow. And if we're growing, if I went through all of that crap, there's no way that I'm walking back.
right.
And so, yeah, I think definitely, but it's also refreshing though to see us, I have a friend, I mean, we have been friends for like over 20 years. Also see how we've both been transforming on our own
Yeah,
as we go.
right,
I mean, we're not tied to the hip,
right.
but it's also crazy to see, okay, as I start growing and really getting to know myself more, and then, just growing,
Yeah,
within who I am as a woman and as a professional, all of that, then seeing her kind of be like, you know what, I kind of want that too.
yes,
I want that
yes.
too. And seeing her really, digging deep, and she we talked about, even, for therapy over a long time, because I was just like, listen, I'm like, I don't know what all you've been through. I mean, it sounds to me like your life has been perfect.
Mm,
I have gone through crap, this helped me, but I don't know.
yeah,
You should try it out.
right,
I don't know if it will help, how much it will help you, but you have to open up yourself, and
right.
it'll help you. And it was crazy that, she called me one day and she said, you know what? I started therapy. And she's like, and then she started telling me, this and this happened when I was like 8, 9 years old. And I was like,
Mm,
what?
right,
I'm like, I thought your life was perfect as a child. She's like, no.
right,
And so it's been crazy, but it's been amazing to see how, okay, we both been growing into the women that we are now,
right,
and realize, what, like, yes, I wouldn't be who I am today if none of that happened, but then I also wouldn't want to be another person.
right,
Like, I enjoy who I am.
right,
I enjoy who I am, and I'm not changing for nobody's expectation,
right,
And it's just, digging deeper and just enjoying who you are, and, self developing into all these different areas.
right.
I feel like that's what brings me joy.
Perfect.
So,
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of everything you've been through and, so unapologetically. It's so refreshing. I love letting my crazy show. And so thank you for letting your show too.
thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Thank you guys for indulging us and listening to our stories. And maybe you learned something from it. Maybe you can relate to something there. We'll talk to you next time.